Educational Multimedia Research Center, Kolkata, where creativity meets education. One of the University Grants Commission's media centers under the Ministry of Education, EMRC Kolkata is not just a place, it's a hub of endless possibilities, where we are reimagining education in the 21st century. Are you ready to dive into a world where learning knows no bounds? Buckle up. Our journey began with the vision of the legendary Father Gaston Roberge, who believed in the power of multimedia to revolutionize education. From a small studio in Chitrabani, the University Grants Commission approved Center for Producing Countrywide Classroom began as Audiovisual Research Center in 1987. And it was none other than the maestro, Sri Satyajit Rai, who joined hands with us to tune the center to take education to the masses. From there, the center was upgraded to Educational Media Research Center at its own place at Park Circus in 1996. It was further rechristened as Educational Multimedia Research Center, opening the center to enter into the world of multimedia and technology-enabled imparting education. It began to produce Bengali programs, Bornali for DD7, Doordarshan's Bengali channel.
At St. Xavier's College, Kolkata, we have always believed in the transformative power of education. EMRC Kolkata is an extension of our commitment to providing quality education
interactive, which will be engaging, and also it will cater to the skill-intensive units of this course. Hence, the entire mode of this MOOCs program will be more engaging and interactive in nature.
Our talented team of educators, content creators, and tech wizards are crafting MOOCs that will change the way you learn.
We are not just creating MOOC, we are also trying to of holistic and multidisciplinary perspective.
At EMRC Kolkata, we believe in nurturing well-rounded individuals who are ready to conquer the world. Yes, you heard it right. EMRC Kolkata is reaching out to more students than ever before through the SWAYAM platform. It's like a treasure trove of knowledge waiting for you to explore.
The courses are
we start our post-lunch session, and today now we have the second session of the workshop, Artificial Intelligence and Law. And to speak on this topic today, now we have Professor Dr. Shambhu Prasad Chakraborty, Dean of the Department of Law and the Chair of the Center of Excellence in Sustainable Development Goals, University of Engineering and Management, Kolkata. With over 20 years of teaching and research experience, Dr. Shambhu Prasad Chakraborty has held prestigious positions at institutions such as Calcutta University, Amity University, Kolkata, and the West Bengal National University of Juridical Sciences, where he headed the Nodal Research Center and also served as chief editor of the Journal of Regulatory Studies from 2019 to 2022. Dr. Chakraborty earned his LLB and LLM in business law from Calcutta University and his PhD from the University of North Bengal. He was also awarded the gold medal for winning Youth Parliament competition organized by the government of West Bengal. He is the editor and the author of 8 books, including those from Thomson Reuters, Springer Nature, and Emerald Publishing's London. Currently, he is editing a Springer Conference Proceedings on AI and Law. He has published over 50 research papers on topics such as climate change, intellectual property rights, technology law, and artificial intelligence. A recipient of the WIPO Fellowship in 2019, Dr. Chakraborty has presented papers at over 70 national and international conferences and has been invited as a resource person to more than 90 events globally. He is a member of the prestigious Law and Society Association USA, the Commonwealth Lawyers Association UK, and IPIRA, where he engages with various research and policy initiatives. Dr. Shambhu Prasad Chakraborty, may I now request Father Julian Das to come here and felicitate Dr. Shambhu Prasad Chakraborty, our next speaker.
A special word of appreciation for Dr. Chakraborty, because in your folder you would see that it is the speaker of this session is Dr. Jayanta Ghosh, who due to some unavoidable reasons is not able to be present. Dr. Chakraborty was kind enough to step in to fulfill the role. So we are grateful, sir, for making this possible. As a token of our appreciation, have this.
May we please have the lights of the dais off for the presentation to begin? Thank you.
A very good afternoon, everybody. I think it's a privilege to be a part of this August gathering, especially taking into consideration the level of education that St. Xavier's is imparting over years. It's really amidst the cloud that's surrounding us. I think it's a silver lining in the area of education, the St. Xavier's College. Thank you, first of all, for inviting me. As a matter of fact, as Father has always stated, that I'm here to replace my former colleague at NUJS, Jayanta, who is not able to come and present his paper. So I decided to step in and help the audience to understand the nuances that exists in the current techno-legal scenario. Initially, when I came to know that this is a talk where the listeners are mostly dealing with creating various things, so I thought of focusing on copyright laws at the outset, and then I thought that why not deep fakes as well, because they are also creating certain things. I'm not saying things, and then again, when I'm talking about law, why not bringing in the existing legal scenario, the existing laws, enactments, at least to some extent, so that it is capable of understanding limits to people who have not been formally trained in law. So I thought of bringing in everything into the discussion, and I would like to open this forum open for question and answer. If you have any specific questions with regards to copyright, any contents or anything, whether that is violating the legal norms or stuff like that. What happens if this happens, and if a police comes up against you? So I'll be able to address them specifically. So let's start the journey. I would like to highlight what we have in store. I'm not sure if I walk around, I'll be audible to the people there. Thank you. Artificial intelligence, as you can see, is something that you have been listening to, engaging with in day-to-day life. But what I'd like to start by telling you is that artificial intelligence from the technical perspective. The second thing I would like to tell you that artificial intelligence is quite different from all other technologies, and there's a reason why. One of my friend who's working with artificial intelligence stated one day that there's so many advanced things that's there which is based on artificial intelligence cannot be in practice, because the existing practices and existing things, the platform is based on a completely outdated technological standards. So getting the thing that is already there with artificial intelligence will still take some time for the platform to be ready. Now, a little thing that I think is important for every one of us to understand when we're talking about artificial intelligence, and that is the cognitive understanding of things. I'd like to highlight a little bit of this, because there is an element of ethics engaging with cognitive skills of machines. Okay. Then we talk about a little, I would rather say a problematic approach by giving a citizenship rights to artificial intelligence, like already Sophia has been given. I think all of us are well aware of that. Now, whether robots can also get that type of privilege in various countries is something that only time will unfold. So that is something I would like to just delve upon, and what happens when we actually do that. Okay. Then we talk about some of the consequence of really propagating and taking artificial intelligence into our daily life. What happens when a robot does something which actually attracts legal consequences, whether it's civil or criminal or administrative or many other things. what happens when that happens? I'll try to engage a little bit about IP rights as well. I think that is something which is very close to the audience. I would also like to say what are the various dangers that AI is right now posing. So this is basically what I would like to say, and then again the last slide, the last point talks about AI, and there is no law per se at this moment on AI. So I will still try to say how the law is evolving slowly and steadily at the very last stage. Okay, so now as I told you that understanding artificial intelligence is something which is very relative also, and relates with technological understanding of various things. Like say for instance, there are so many varieties of artificial intelligence. But then again, why we call it artificial intelligence actually depends on the way it is manipulating the existing data that is being incorporated into the system. So it's an artificial process by which there are some algorithms which is trying to come up with predictive analysis of those data. There are so many other applications. Very recently I was working with a professor who is focusing on digital twins. Now if digital twins are created of a human being, then the person, suppose it's used for good, suppose I'll be able to understand the situation of my heart, and what happens if I continue having sweets, or maybe like if I'm having sweets, it's carrying on giving more information to the system, which is telling that well, this is going to happen. They're predicting, and if I stop having the sweets, if I look into the trajectory that I'll be falling ill after 6 months, if I continue in this manner having sweets. I also took 2 sweets today. I should not have had that. But then again, so coming back to this digital twin issue, I think it's there are a lot of ethical aspects engaged in this. Like there's so much data that we are producing. There's so many sensors we're wearing around at this moment. There's so many sensors also here. Some sensors are detecting smoke. Some sensors are detecting, there's so many other things. So I think okay, that'll be fine. Okay, so there's so many ethical aspects to it. Okay, the technology is bringing with it so many challenges. Now, law has always said that no, we are not going to accept technology per se. Even when, if you take into consideration any sort of technology, now we are in Industry 4.0, Industry 1, 2, 3, all have actually changed the social system. So technology is basically a way by which the entire social transformation happens. Okay, so we cannot deny technological engagement and involvement in human societies. So irrespective of the fact that law has started very late with artificial intelligence, it cannot deny the fact that artificial intelligence has changed us and the way we live, and it is going to be the next big thing. Like internet was one of the big things, and computers, one of the big thing. Maybe fire was one of the big thing. So I think it's important that we understand the nuances that exist in technologies like artificial intelligence, and look into the sides that engages with misuse, and try to come up with ways by which those things can be tackled. Now, from a layman's perspective, especially when it comes to generative AI, I thought of focusing on that a little more. It's all about input and output. One of the question that was raised in the previous discussion when the session was going on was very much close to this particular understanding of input and output. Like why the internet sources are not being directly copied by ChatGPT. If it would have copied, everything would have come up. See, the ChatGPT is actually using all the data that is there in the internet. That is the input. And then it processes by itself and then come up with something completely new. And that's the reason it is outside the periphery of so-called algorithms who are trying to check whether you have copied it from the internet directly. Okay, so that is what I was thinking of answering. But then again, I think it was already late and people were hungry, including myself. So I'll just highlight as a basic introduction to this discussion that it's all about machine learning. It's all about how you're training the machines. Like say, for example, how some emails goes directly to the spam folder. Okay, if you look into the spam folder, you'll find some of the words which are very common, like win, cash. These are the words. That's the reason why even when the tax department send us emails that you have a refund, they also say that please check into your spam folder. Why? Because it can go there because it talks about money. So when you have received an email where you have been informed that you have got $100 million or pounds, something would have touched your heart. Oh my God, great. Let's try this out. I don't know who gave this money to me. But after 15 years or 20 years down the line, things are, this is spam. This is nonsense. There's so many people who have got duped because of this. I'm not going to be a small prey to this. So you throw it to spam, even if it is not done that way. So the LLM model is based on you and me and the practices that we engage with. Okay, just like the suggestive movies that comes up on Netflix account of yours or Amazon account, like the type of things that comes up, including the things that we buy. So all these are based on your understanding of the system and how you're behaving with the system, how you're interacting with the system. So this is a very important juncture where I would like to say that we need to be more responsible while teaching the existing artificial intelligence various behaviors. Okay, so it's all about our behavior on the basis of which future generations are going to face challenges. It's important to make us understand that artificial intelligence was there for quite a long period of time. But why it didn't flourish? Why it didn't took shape? Why it took so much time? See, 1956, 1959, Chomsky was trying to identify the various aspects. Why? Why it took so long? The reason behind this is the development of the existing infrastructure. If you take into consideration the number of internet users that has gained its height towards the northern side of the user scale, and if you also look into the number of people who are within the periphery of using the internet, the capacity to buy the internet as well. It's not only about availability, it's also about to what extent you're capable of accessing it. So everyone can access today internet. And that's the reason why we are capable of generating huge amount of data without even understanding that you are compromising your data to such an extent that you cannot claim copyright or any sort of privacy rights with those data that you are putting up on the social media platforms or any other places. Very recently, in the last year, in 2023, there is a Data Protection Act that came up in India. Okay, we call that the DPDP Act of 2023. And if you look at it very closely, you'll find out that those data that you have given voluntarily on various internet sites, and like say for example Facebook or LinkedIn, and if those data, those information are compromised, you cannot claim any right that the Act gives to you. You up. At times you find out that there's not an actual human being. There is a voice of a human being which is recorded. Okay? The same thing happens when you call up the customer care of any service provider that you use. You are talking with a computer. Okay? Now you don't even have to give a call. You just press the switch and say, "Hi Alexa," or "Hi Siri, I want to talk to the service provider of Airtel," and it connects immediately for you. So this is the so powerful that it can beat the best of powerful men, human beings. So there is no denying the fact that artificial intelligence, if unleashed, it will definitely overpower human beings. There is no doubt about that. These some of the facts that has been raised here in this particular slide, which is for your perusal, reflects this information. Now, to have a little highlight about what this is, only this picture, like he is the world's best chess player of all times. He's there in the list, Gary. And he was beaten left and right by Deep Blue. When? 1996. When he was in his prime. And this is not the only case. There are n number of examples that you'll find where human beings have been just dismantled by artificial intelligence to the ground. So this is something we have to understand at the very inception, that the power of artificial intelligence that all of us are engaging with in our day-to-day life is capable of changing the world to such an extent that we become the minority. We become the helpless victim. Okay, so sorry. So this is basically a slide that talks about how input is made to a particular system and how the various forms are coming up. Now, how these forms are actually coming up? Well, that's exactly what the algorithm talks about. Now, if the algorithm says that there will be more number of faces on similar basic standings, then there will be more. So this is just an example for you. This is how an input is given, and then you choose the output. There are so many cases that has come up on the basis of this model in deepfake. I'll come to that. Now, this is another point that I would like all of you to have a little look at. Now, this is Mercedes-Benz. Just imagine. This is the car that is right now going around in Washington, D.C. It'll come up very shortly here, maybe in another 4 to 5 years. Now, this is the autonomous vehicle of 2024. Now, why autonomous vehicle is good? Can anyone tell me why autonomous vehicle should be preferred over human beings? I'd like some answers from the audience. Let's start, and human error. What type of human error? See, machines can also, there can be errors in machines. There can be electric issues. And if there is an electric issue, there's a problem. Suppose the GPS, the satellite malfunctions. The GPS fails to understand that, the information. See, it's basically like, an interaction between the physical and the digital world. So there can be malfunction in both human and artificial intelligence. Any other point that you think is relevant to support autonomous vehicle over man-made, operated vehicles? Well, that's a pretty interesting one. Yeah, you don't need to learn how to drive. You just sit and then you just follow the traffic rules. Okay. Okay. How many of you here have a driving license? Can you just raise your hand? Let's have a little poll. Okay, I think a dozen of us, more than that, have that. And this is mainly for them. Others can also think that they're there. You must have gone for a test, right? For this particular driving license, all of you. Okay, have they ever asked you this question? They ask questions like, I'll tell you what type of questions they ask. They ask, what is the meaning of this sign? What is the meaning of a person coming up with this sign? So there are so many other questions. But have they ever asked you whether you had any illness like epilepsy? Have they asked a brain scan of yours to check? Now imagine, just imagine that you're in a public vehicle and the bus driver suddenly gets an attack of epilepsy. What happens to you? What happens to the people around? He is one of the best drivers, suppose. He knows all the driving lessons, done all the driving lessons, skills, everything. But now suddenly this happens. So don't you think that we need to have a change in the existing legal scenario to incorporate these things before handing over a driving license? Of course. Of course, this is one of the standard things that has to be incorporated, but it has not been so far. But my question is, if we engage computers into the system, we discount all these human errors, knowing and unknowing errors, right? So a day can come when we don't need any drivers at all. From that they would be able to use this technology, they're happy to do that, subject to there is also a human driver behind the wheels, if not driving it at this moment. Just in case anything happens, it can take the charge away from it. I'll give an example where the autonomous vehicles today are faulting. Those drivers who are here, suppose you're driving your car or a bike, you can very well distinguish between an adult and a minor or a kid. Okay? Suppose you see 2 or 3 kids are running or like doing something or the other. Being a driver, the first thing that you do, you slow down the car. Why? Because you know that they're unpredictable. They can come any point of time on my way. So you take immediate measures. A camera really cannot understand that behavior at this moment, as of now. Hence, it takes an adult and a minor in the same way. Maybe depending on the height, depending on certain things, they're trying to come up with this. But this cognitive sense of human beings, that minors can behave errantly more than that of an adult. I'm not saying that adult cannot come in on the way. They always does more than kids. That is my experience. But that's the cognitive difference between a machine as of now and us at this moment. So these are some of the interesting things. But then again, the three question that has been raised here is that what happens in case of an accident? Who will be held liable? There are a few options for you to think. Say, for example, Mercedes-Benz company will be liable for the faulty algorithm or software or the GPS it was depending upon, or the engineer who created that algorithm which malfunctioned. Or you go and file a suit against the state telling that why the hell have you given permission for these type of vehicles to ply on the road which are by itself faulty. Then comes what will be the amount of compensation? Who will pay? What will be the amount? What type of things? There's so many areas that law will have to slowly and steadily ask questions to the developers and the people who are engaging with artificial intelligence on a day-to-day basis to come into this scenario. Or else what will happen? You have given hours and hours and hours and hours of hard work day and night, and then it falls short of the legal standard and it is not produced. And the license has not been given to you. Permission has not been given to you. You fail to get a patent because it falls short from the legal parameters. And in today's world, if that happens, you know, our technology's lifetime, the shelf life of technology is so short today. So once you miss the bus, you miss it forever. So the time has come when we have to bring in the people who are legal experts sitting in the same platform with the people who are developing and using artificial intelligence to develop a particular thing for the market. Irrespective of the problems and things, artificial intelligence have made its way in all these aspects. And there's only one small aspect called robots. All these are very much available. I'll just share one of my experiences. I was invited to chair a session in Singapore, in Nanyang Technological University. And I boarded the flight, Indigo Airlines. I think some of you people will be aware of this airline. And we landed exactly around 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Okay? And it was raining cats and dogs outside. So I took a Grab cab and went to the hotel where I was given the space to stay. But I have never been to Singapore. That was my first visit last year. And it was raining, you know. I couldn't even see that I'm more or less in front of my hotel. So I somehow or the other, trying to save myself from the rain, I went and took shelter in a shade. Okay? It's a big, big building. Shade is there. So I was just waiting for the rain to just, like, you know, a little down, and then we can look around. My mobile was telling that it's just 20 meters from where I'm standing. Suddenly, something which looks very close like that of a washing machine of our house, with some, of course, wheels, was moving around and coming just in front of me and was looking at me like this. I said, what is this, buddy? I've never seen something like this. I've seen something very close to this, which is used to clean and mop the floor in some of the shopping malls, like the Metro here, Cash and Carry. They have this. But it is a smaller version, and it was like as if it was looking at me. And it was moving in like this way, that way, this way, that way. I said, "Bhai, what is this?" And suddenly what happened, the luggage that I had on the other side, was looking here, was hit by someone very similar of that size and shape, and my bag fell down. So I somehow collected my bag and I was looking at it. I said, what are these things? Then it didn't speak a word. Then after maybe 30 to 40 seconds, it just moved away, both of them. And then I was looking, what is this building? And then I found that it is a bank. Okay, it's a Singapore's national bank there. And those are robots, later on I realized, and they're security robots. Since I have the luggage from nobody studies properly. Being a professor, I know. I have checked papers for decades. Trash. Pure trash. So I said, you didn't find good papers? Yes, I did. But how do I know to whom I'm going have written good papers or trash papers? So the chance of getting good papers is 20% and trash 80%. So if I take this logic, then 80% that doctors are more or less somewhere which is not trustworthy enough for me to go. Maybe other people will go, of course, they have the degrees from various universities. But I will not go. I will prefer the robot to do that. I said, fine. So thank you. Thank you for the humility towards the doctors. But then again, this is a reality today. What I'm trying to say is that when the robots are engaging in surgery, what will happen if something goes wrong? Is there a law to defend this scenario? I'll talk more about that a little later. Now, what are the various dangers that we have seen unfolding in front of us in the last few years? In the last few years, there are n number of disputes when it comes to copyright. I have come up with a couple of slides which talks about copyright for those who are engaging in various creative works which have direct implication on copyright laws. Okay? But that is one part of it. There are so many other things like cybersecurity, cyber physical systems, ethical standards not being basically being compromised in every point of time for a commercial perspective, using technology more and more, discounting the challenge that climate change crisis is bringing towards us. There is a huge problem of using technology as it stands. So we need laws. There is no doubt at this moment that we need laws in every nook and corner where artificial engage is reaching. Artificial intelligence needs to be controlled. Now, the previous speaker, who is also from St. Xavier's College, I came to know because she was sitting just in front of me when I was having my lunch with her. She spoke about bias at one point of time. Now, I made this slide specifically for all of you to understand. Now, what have you understood from this picture? Anybody who'd like to come up with? This is 1, 2, 3, and 4. There are 4 people. How do you distinguish between the 4 people?
There is racial profiling there.
So you are saying that there are 2 white men and there are 2 black people, right? Good. So you're right. The hair is an issue. right? The hair is an issue. This hair is an issue. That is true. Anything else? Anything else that you can come up with from this picture? The age group, yeah, amazing. These three are in their 20s, and he is in his 40s or 50s, right? Well, now if you look into the risk factors there, this man, this white man who is in his 40s to 50s, his risk is 3. Now this guy is also white and his risk is 3. This guy is of medium risk of 6. And this guy is of high risk 10. My question is, why this discrimination? Why they have got this risk categorization here?
So risk categorization is based on race, number 1.
Right.
So risk categorization is based on race.
Yes.
Number 1, hairstyle, piercings, possible tattoos. Tattoos are not visible there, but there's a kind of racial profiling done. Of course, like this kind of profiling is often followed in a lot of countries, particularly the US.
Yes, that's right. Oh, this is a case study from US itself. And to now give you a better understanding about what this particular picture is trying to highlight and depict, is that the pictures taken by surveillance cameras, which are actually powered by artificial intelligence, they will focus on black men more than white men. Now my next question to this audience, why this discrimination? Camera does not have some like the person who's behind this camera, he can be discriminatory, for example. But an automated camera powered with artificial intelligence, how can that be biased?
It has been fed with a biased algorithm.
That can be one of the point. It is fed with a biased algorithm. Okay. Absolutely right. That is the main point. Even when the algorithm is not biased, if I take that into consideration and discount the biasness in the algorithm structure, but what are the data that is fed into the system? If you take into consideration the last 30-40 years of criminal data, you will find more than 80 to 85% of the people who are convicted in USA are blacks. So even when the algorithm is not biased, the output is biased. Why? Because the existing data that is there in the system will automatically make the algorithm work in the favor of that biasness. So this is a huge challenge. So suppose there is a small chaos, suppose in front of a restaurant, and there's some white and black involved. This is suppose an American scenario. The surveillance camera, which is supported by AI, will look into the various faces and then focus on the black people who are there, because they are now being directed that if anyone is going to hit, it will be this man. So we have to get better images so that we can convict him later. Okay? So
I think this is something very wrong.
absolutely, undoubtedly, this is something which is very wrong, and this is happening. And this has to be stopped. So the problem with AI is not only based on the algorithm, but also the data that you feed in the system. If I feed into a system that 2 plus 2 is equal to 5, 2 plus 2 is equal to 5, 2 plus 2 is equal to 5, and do is continuing for more than 1 year now. Last month, the news came up, and that is 1,000 kilometers inside Russia, there was an oil reservoir, and it was bombed by an Ukrainian drone. How it is possible for Ukraine, which do not have the food to eat at this moment, to do this? The Russians are shouting that it must be Americans or it must be other countries who are helping, or the Europeans. But no. It is the artificial intelligence fed. These are small robots, these drones, automated. They look into the various data. Just like ChatGPT is capable of accessing all the existing literature. Just at the same way, these algorithms are capable of understanding all the geographical locations of the world. Where are the various things? Where is a temple? Where is a masjid? Where is a church? It is capable of noticing everything. You go to Google Earth and you see everything, it is visible. In India, it's still 2D. You go and look into an American structure, it's 3D. And they are accessing those information. No one is giving them any guidelines, and they're just doing it that way. And you can launch these small vehicles from your roof, from anywhere. You choose the target, place, and it then flies out and then does whatever it feels like. Now, what happens if it comes back and hits me? This is a big problem. Let me tell you this. Now, I'll just give one example. How many of you have the skill to fly a drone here in this room? You know how to fly a drone with a camera fixed on it? Anybody? A drone camera? Or you have seen somebody flying a drone camera? Huh? Okay. Do you know that you cannot fly a drone over a particular limit? Do you know that limit? No. Do you know that the limit according to law can be increased or decreased depending upon something? You know what is that something? The weight of that drone. You don't even know this. There are laws as of now. But if you use artificial intelligence and run a drone to take a good shot from up, what it will do? It will look into prior experiences, and it goes to any height and take the best of shots. And in the process, you have flouted all the legal norms of the country, and there is a radar given by the Air Force who gets hold of this and comes directly to your door, not only confiscating your drones, but stopping your business altogether. Let me tell you that this happened in my own university. Last year, we had a drone competition sort of a thing at my university. So I raised this concern that the kids are on the roof with the drones. Do they have the knowledge of the law? So the Vice Chancellor issued a notice immediately to everything to stop, and then had a discussion and a lecture for all the participants before they go and start using a drone. And in the meantime, the Air Force knocked on the door of the university, because their radar has noticed unidentified foreign objects in those areas above the permissible limits. But because we are university, we are training students, they understood and they left. Because in order to be a crime, there must be a malice. But then again, there is a concept called ignorance of law is not an excuse. In Latin, we call this ignorantia juris non excusat. But we knew and they understood, and we had a big conference coming up the next day. Participants from over 30 organizations, including IIT Bombay and IIT Madras, were there. So they didn't bother, but they just warned that don't do this. Of AI and law, and one of the speaker was a faculty from Nanyang. His name is Altaf, Professor Altaf Marsouf. So he just called me up a couple of days back before the conference and said that I have lost my voice. I said, what? So I cannot speak, Shambhu, I can't speak. I said, okay, don't worry, don't speak. If it would have been us, I won't be able to do. But he's so passionate. He's saying that I'm trying my best to do something. And he's in a technology university. So he called up some guys from there, and we also, some of our students also helped to make a deep fake voice for the talk. Okay, and he was just the students said that you don't shout, because if you shout your voice will crack. As if you're talking, you just use hello, good morning, it's a privilege to be here and give a lecture, just like this, small. And the AI was looking into his previous lectures, which is there on YouTube, and then taking those things, data and this information, and manipulate that to come up with a voice makeover. On the afternoon of the conference, Altaf called up and said that I don't have to use my deepfake. I'm better now with the medicines. So he didn't use the deepfake. But I'm just giving this example that this is no longer a story. And since this is no longer a story, if your mother calls you up and tells that I am not well, please come immediately. Even when you're waiting for an interview or maybe for an upgrade of your service, you'd better say that I will do this later. First, I'll go and attend my mother. And you lose the opportunity. And when you go back home and your mother says that I have not called you up, buddy. This is also happening. In US, around 6 months back, there was a case. The banker called up the guy and said that there is a mismatch in something, some digital signature. What would I do? Would I stop payment or would I carry on with that? Then he said that please carry on. I have signed on that document. And fine. And he found that the money has been deducted. That's perfectly fine. He was expecting to do that. And then he realizes when his creditor comes up and knocks up and says that why you have not paid, then he realizes that the money has been paid to somebody else. And then he realizes that it was never the banker who called up, but somebody else who used deepfake to mimic the voice of the banker. And now this is a real-time scenario. That means I am speaking at this voice, but you'll hear that Amitabh Bachchan is speaking. Same word, same thing. And this is a fact. You can go to any university, even your university or college, to check it out from the students. This is exactly how deepfake is affecting. There is a case which came up where Tom Hanks came up and said that the picture in the advertisement of the toothpaste is not me. Last week, in a Donald Trump advertisement, vote for me, something like that, Taylor Swift was there in that picture. Later on, Taylor Swift said, it's not me. So deepfake has taken the world to such an extent that especially law and order people like the justice administration system like us, the first thing that we look into a thing and say that this is not true. So this is the perception today. So what you want to say is truth. The first thing that I would say is not true. So this is the current scenario of the techno-legal interactions as on date. So this is a very interesting case which I would like to highlight a little bit. This case happened just before the elections, okay? And again a deepfake, again somebody's talking something. Just imagine, no offenses, I'm more or less a political person. I don't believe in politics per se, because lawyers and doctors should not believe in politics. Because if a person comes up and say that I need a legal assistance, I cannot judge him on his color, the color of his flag. So that's the reason why I'm apolitical. And I always teach my students that way. Now coming to this particular example which I was trying to give you, suppose in West Bengal, the chief minister and his nephew, her nephew, okay, they are in command this moment, the top and the first. Suppose a deepfake comes up and tells that the Abhishek is telling that I'm just leaving everything. I'm now joining BJP. And suppose it happens just before the elections, or maybe a couple of days before the election. Before the damage control can be done, the damage will already create a huge chaos in the system. That's the reason why the Supreme Court has come up with this directive that as soon as something like this happens and notified to the media or where that particular thing is, wherever it is, it has to be struck down. Suppose it's on YouTube. The YouTube will have to struck it down within 3 hours from the moment the information has been given to them. Are you getting my point clear? So this is how law is now slowly and steadily coming into the business, the mainstream business of artificial intelligence and its challenges and the bad things that emanates and comes out of it. So this is very similar, morphing the older video of an MP and then saying something against that. Now this is again a more of a commercial version of it. All of us know that Anil Kapoor has a very smart voice, very distinctive type of a voice. And that voice was then used by somebody else for commercial things. And then again, the Supreme Court came up, the High Court came up in this case and gave him the personality right and stopped all sort of unauthorized use of his voice. Similar rights have also been taken up by almost all the actors in Bollywood. Amitabh Bachchan has his voice protected, many others. Well, this is a very interesting case which I think, I say that I'll use 2 slides for those who are in the creative business. Now, this is a very famous, character. And this character was actually created by artificial intelligence, this picture. And the lady, Krish, she approached the copyright office and got a copyright. Okay? Now, the copyright law is very distinctively clear in the United States. And it states that anything that a human being makes, quote unquote, human being, the word is given there. So, a human intervention is a must for a creation. Why it is so? Because there is a principle called the sweat of the brow. When you're working on something, suppose you're a painter, you're painting. You're a writer, you're writing. You're editing. or you're a graphics engineer, you're doing something on there's sweat coming up from your brow and you do this. This is sweat of the brow doctrine. So it says that you have given your labor, and this labor theory gives you the right to reap the benefits that comes out of the product. Okay? But where is this sweat of the brow in this picture? Forget about this picture. Think about anything that is created by artificial intelligence. So you don't need to be a painter. You don't need to be a poet. You don't need to be a writer. You don't need to be anything. You only need to be a computer engineer, capable of developing algorithms. That day is not far. Motion pictures will be created by artificial intelligence with a click of a command. So how about and now the point that is being raised is in the courts, that is this an original work? You have basically taken things from various parts and you say that is the input, and you have that algorithm which processes it, and then it comes up with an output and you say this is unique. Wonderful. One picture created by artificial intelligence was sold for more than $35 million. See, this is fact. When the selfies came up, remember, I think one of the slide I had for the selfie, I think I jumped it across. Yeah. No offenses. I just took the picture away from the notes. We don't use any more notes, so I thought I use the picture on the slide to make him more relevant. But then again, this picture, a selfie picture of Gandhiji, when it came up, I think all of you have seen this picture. All of you have seen this picture. And he was not the only person who was portrayed at that particular time. There were around 10-15 people. Right? All taking selfies. Now, I spoke to one of my colleagues who teaches artificial intelligence to the students in the lab. I'm not a lab guy. I'm a theory and legal philosophy guy, and more into the relevance of legality, morality, all these things. I'll talk about that a little later. I said that please decode this. He said that there is something called black box, and what is happening in that black box I can't tell. I said, bah, very good. Wonderful. Don't see, all of you have used Turnitin. You know Turnitin? Huh? What is it? Right. That's the first layer of answer. How the technology is fed? Artificial intelligence. Right? It's supported by AI. Undoubtedly. My point is, if AI is capable of identifying a document from this entire world, then AI can also be made to identify from where this particular picture was generated. Who will make it? Nobody will. Why? The business will be gone. Our Turnitin subscription is around 7 lakh rupees every year. But no one will make this because that will kill the business. But he somehow or the other came up with something. See, these kids are genius. Like, they get jobs in various Microsoft, Cisco, everywhere. Earns much more than me. But he came up with a few pictures, and he said that I can say that this picture has some elements of this. He has his own algorithm, and his machine, after 3 days of continuous rigorous effort, came up with a set of pictures stating that this picture has something from there. Now that picture I looked into, and that's there on the Facebook also, is of a Bengali guy who lives in Shambazar and teaches drawing to students, young students, for some 200, 500, 600 rupees. He put this on the Facebook profile. Of course, like, that's my business, but people will be attracted. But when this picture was taken, it became so popular that it got more than 1 billion likes. And you know, the more the likes, the more the visibility, the more you can earn and you can sell this. But the creators of this picture, I'm not defying the quality, the clarity, the depth, the novelty, everything is there. You talk about something, it's there. But have this guy who is teaching young students for 200, 500 rupees being paid something, number one. Forget about paying, being at least acknowledged. Forget about acknowledgement that they say that it's inside the black box, I don't know how to decode it. This is the type of ethical practices, I'll rather use UN before the word, that is around. Now coming back to this picture of Zara. Yeah. The Supreme Court very soon realized that they have made a mistake. By giving the copyright to Chris was a mistake, and when thousands and thousands of people now started applying for copyright over something which has been generated by artificial intelligence, the Copyright Office said, no. Let us please stop this bombardment. Let us relook. And then it was cancelled. Look here. It was cancelled. Error. What was the reason that was shown? Look at this word, substantive incompleteness. What was incomplete? The application. What was the application? If you have created this picture, you want it copyrighted, you have to fill up a form, and that form is called the application form. So the Copyright Office said that you have not said that you have used artificial intelligence to that extent. You can use it as a tool, but it cannot have the substantive part of that picture. I hope you have got this point absolutely clear. Krish came up and said that I have changed the lip portion and a little eyebrows and stuff like that, and a little, like, this under eye portion. But then the law is that you can use it as a tool, but you cannot use the substantive part of it.
But isn't that very vague?
Of course, and that's, I'll not say it's vague. It is factually dependent on case-to-case basis. That's the right word, right phrase to make it clear for everybody. So if someone is claiming that this is it, in the application, the person must tell that these are the things that I've taken from artificial intelligence. These are the things that I have incorporated into the scenario, and this is the ultimate thing, which is a completely new thing, capable of getting a copyright protection. So the sweat of the brow is there. She used efforts. Just like any other technological tool, we don't write anymore on piece of paper. We use computers. We use Microsoft Word. So that's again a tool. That's not violation of anything. We use Grammarly, which helps us to reconsider the things that we have given. We don't follow everything that the Grammarly suggests, do we? No. But at times we do. That's a tool. I hope you're getting my points clear the legal understanding of the things. This lecture was about artificial intelligence and law. We have crossed nearly 1 hour. We have not spoken about law. I'll tell you this, the reason behind this. There's a small picture for all of you to consider. I don't know why this is not here, buddy. Can you see a world map here? I can't see, but it was actually a world map. Can you see there on the screen? Can you put it there on the TV screen? Yeah, now it is visible. There. I'm sorry, I don't know why it is not coming up here, but you can have a look at the screen on your left or the right. Now, what is that? No guesses. It's the world map, right? And there is a small blue portion. What is that small blue portion talking about and resembles? The European Union. Okay? Anywhere else? The answer is no. There's a small little bit of there. Just forget that space. Ignore that. In the year 2024, when? This year. Earlier this year. The European Union Artificial Intelligence Act came up. What act? EUAI. Great. But does EUAI Act applies on the 23 European Union nations? No. It does not apply. Unless and until a specific member country adopts it for its own jurisdiction. Has any of the 23 members adopted? Sir, ये तो अभी आए, कैसे adopt कर लें? समझना पड़ेगा ना? This is the situation at this moment when it comes to law on artificial intelligence per se. Look, any other place in the world apart from a little bit of South America? Nothing. So there is no law, no specific law in the form of a legislation which is there to protect the members of the country, citizens of the country, against a malpractice created by artificial intelligence. So there is no straightforward defense. But isn't there any defense? I spoke so much with so many examples and case studies. The answer is yes, there are. Indirectly, we have some protection. The Information Technology Act 2000 have some provisions which আমার হাত যাচ্ছে না জোর করে নিয়ে যাব আর কি It is not meant for it. But of course a broader interpretation can always be given to a provision of law when it requires that way. So there are some, say for example, obscene material. Why I use this example? Because out of the number of cases that we have, apart from financial offenses online today, the second highest offense that is recorded is morphing a woman's picture for various reasons. I'll not go into, maybe for money, maybe of revenge. We call it like, porn revenge and stuff like that. There's so many things that they do. There's a very, very interesting case that we studied. It's on this girl is a journalist, very fearless journalist, okay? And he didn't listen to anybody, just didn't listen to anybody. And she used to say exactly what the truth is, and she was very popular online. Ultimately, when everything failed, of course, she needs to be stopped. Truth is not supposed to be spoken. Truth is something that you have to feel, that it is there. And then you have to understand that we have to live with the broader truth. The deepfake technology came up at that time, and there was a very natural type of a morphing with a prostitute, and those pictures were placed on YouTube, on everywhere else. This girl who is in his 20s, just passing out from her college and now doing journalism, was in a verge of committing suicide. Everything shattered in front of her. Everything. Each and everything. So this type of experiences are not uniquely to that particular journalist lady, but this is happening to each and everybody today. You go to a police station and ask the number of complaints that they receive on these lines. N number of things. Apart from financial online crimes, the second big thing is deepfake of a girl. Okay? So deepfake of movie stars, deepfake of so many things. They're popularly available in various websites. But when it comes to maybe a school friend of a guy, the girl said that, no, I'm not interested in you. And the guy comes up and uses a software, he downloads it and just 500 rupees, and then you give the input and you get the output. So this is the challenge that we all have. So the IT Act 2000 have extended its arm and defended these type of things brought in by artificial intelligence. Well, there are some other things like the IPC defamation things are there. Now the BNS, Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, the new provision of the BNS is there. New offenses are now being incorporated, which talks about decency and morality. I'll just point it there. Can anyone tell me what is morality? What is morality? How morality differs from ethics? Is there anything that these two words relate with law? Anybody would like to give a go? What is morality? Self-conscience is morality? What is ethics? Rights and wrongs. Law? Set of rules to be followed. Rights and wrongs. I'll just demystify the three words for clarity. Ethics is very simple. Say, for example, I'm a doctor. There's some professional ethics. I'm a lawyer. There's some professional ethics. I am a professor. There's some professional ethics. So these are some standard behavior that we have to follow. 5 more minutes? So 5 more minutes. Yeah, we are just in the second last slide. Now, being a friend of another person, being the mother of a child, being the wife of a husband, being a teacher of students, we play distinctive different roles. And all these roles demand certain set of standards. And these standards are considered as ethical standards. However, these ethical standards vary from one jurisdiction to that of the other. So, for example, the ethical standard of the doctor in India is different from that of the ethical standard that's being practiced in other countries like US or UK. Okay? Now, what is morality? To cut a long story short, all of us will come to the same answer to a question morally if we discount the biasness within us. Say, for example, a married man is roaming around with a girl, another girl. Is it morally correct? Law might say otherwise. Some people, some girls can say that if boys can roam around, girls can also roam around. So this is fine. If the man is roaming around, that's fine. Some people will say this is not. So what is the moral thing? Now, if we discount all our existing biasness, the moral answer to this question of all of us would be the same. This is an example of moral understanding. Law is completely different from moral and ethics. Let me tell you this. Black and white. This is something that you have to follow. This is something that you have to avoid. Okay? So this is about the law that we have, but the new DPDP Act that I was talking about is something to cheer about. There are some provisions. I'll not go deep into that. But then again, we need technological intervention, and we need to support the existing legal system. Very recently, there is a direction given by the Government of India to WhatsApp, who is circulating any fake videos. The name has to be given there. But then again, it's in process. There has been dispute. The question of privacy has come up. So there's so many things, when you talk about law and technology today, it's more or less an open-ended question. It's evolving at this moment. I think, we need to keep on engaging with discussions of various, on various platforms like this one. And I think that is exactly where I rest my case today. Thank you once again for your patient hearing and participating on the polls. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Chakraborty, for this engaging discussion on AI and law, where laws usually doesn't exist. So we will have a tea break now, and if you have any queries, you can just have it with Dr. Chakraborty over tea. We will take a 15-minute break and come back around 4:10 for the next session. Yeah, for the last session, exactly. For the last session of the day, we take a 15-minute break.